So glad to have you with us on Your Retirement TV. I'm Brad Johansson with Sam Duell, Andi Duell, Duell Financial Strategies. Always great to be with you today.
Good to be here.
No, I said always great to be with you today. It's always great to be with you.
Yeah, today or any day.
Today is a good.
Today's as good as any. Yeah.
As we enter the fall, we're starting to look towards what's coming at the end of the year, but I want to take us even further than that, because end of the year for a lot of folks right now, probably, and coming into your offices, are talking about Social Security and when and why. Can we do maybe a little Social Security quiz if we start on this?
Who's getting quizzed?
You guys are the quizzees.
Oh, great.
So I'm going to start with just true or false. In most cases, if I take benefits before my full retirement age, they will be reduced for early filing.
That's true.
That's true. That's a true?
Yeah.
That's a simple.
Yeah, you can start taking Social Security at 62. That's the earliest age, absent disability or something like that. You start at 62. But there is a rule. It's just an 8% escalator is what it is. So every year that you don't take Social Security beyond the age of 62, then your payments would increase by 8% a year. So you get, and your full retirement age is typically 66-ish, right in there, 66, 67, depends upon what year you're born. But if you start sooner than that, then you're going to get a reduction in benefits.
And we got a lot of boomers retiring every day.
Every day.
Every hour.
Younger and younger. It's been fascinating to me to watch the trend. I mean, when I started this back in 2000, my average client age was probably 70, I would say. 70, maybe even 71 or 72. And it's amazing, Brad, how over 20 years I've seen that dial ratchet itself back to where we're getting a lot of people coming into the office today that are in their late 50s, even some that are in that 54, 55 range that are saying, hey, I'm going to do this for a couple of 2 or 3 more years, and that's it.
Huh. Well, we've talked about, you say that doesn't strike me as a fear thing, because we've talked about the fear thing before. No. This is people who are now coming into that planning of working that Social Security and saying, I figured this out, I want to come. Because if you talk about 53, 54, 55, you're now just starting to enter this retirement red zone, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I think it also has to do with work. And so what you're doing for work and how hard is it on your body, or how hard is it on you mentally to deal with that issue, can have a lot to do with your retirement age. And or it might be that well, can I retire from this job and maybe take something that's a bit more part-time or a bit more something I enjoy doing and still have enough money to get through retirement successfully. And so that tends to be, I think, where people are looking more and more towards enjoyment of lifestyle. And how do we do that? Because I think they're feeling, well, the clock's ticking, and I want to enjoy some of my later years. So how do I do that successfully?
Well, because Sam, for a lot of folks, our age, we have just been built into the identity of this is what I do. I can't stop doing this anymore because this is who I am. And what you're saying is some people are now changing that identity and saying, okay, I don't want to be that person anymore, kind of thing.
It seems to me that, so the baby boomers, which you and I are at the very tail end of the baby boomers, we're at the very end of it. That is a different mentality and a different mindset than generations that have come after, where you're right. We tend to have more of a mindset, and people in our age group tend to have more of a mindset. It's like, it's more traditional, if you will, okay? It's like, okay, this is traditionally what's been done, etc. We were raised in traditional
this is what Grandpa did, this is what Dad did.
Exactly. So that's how we do it. But we're noticing that generationally it's shifting, and people are wanting to retire earlier. Now that comes with its own unique set of challenges. It's a wonderful thing, but it comes with its own unique set of challenges. Social Security claiming is just one of the many challenges of retiring early.
I'll go to your next question. If I'm receiving benefits before my full retirement age and continue to work, my benefits might be reduced based on how much I make. Where are we on that?
That's true.
That's true.
And do we adjust?
Yeah, you can only make so much. So before full retirement age, 66 or 67, if you're drawing Social Security, you're limited as to how much money you can make without being penalized in your Social Security payment. So you have to, if you're going to work in retirement, if you're what we would call an active working retiree, we have to do the math on that. And we have to say, okay, if you're going to work, this is what you need to do. To give you a great example of it, a gentleman named John, which, John, if you're watching, hey, call. You haven't heard from you in a while.
Come on, John.
Come on, John. But anyway, when John decided years ago when he worked for me that he was going to retire, this rule has always been in place, that if you retire at 62, start taking Social Security, that you have to limit your amount of income. Well, he wanted to back off what he was doing, and he was very valuable to me in the office. So I'm like, look, here's what we'll do. We know what the rules are. So I will just structure your pay so that you make the exact amount of money that you need to make in a year without being penalized. So you're still working, but if you're going to retire, and if you're going to, let's say that you're leaving your regular job, you're going to go on Social Security at 62. Just make sure when you sit down with that new employer, if you're going to work, that you sit down with their payroll department and say, hey, I'm 63 years old, I'm going to retire, I'm on Social Security, I can only make X amount of dollars. And they should be able to help you with that, to say, okay, then you need to be in a position where you're only making this amount of money every 2 weeks to stay within the parameters. And if they don't know, call me. I'll run the calculation for you.
John or whoever else, make the phone call. I don't like to have anything out where the people go, what? So let's just talk about the book that is sitting on our desk.
Sure.
Purpose Determines Placement, updated second edition. This is one that you started penning as life was changing in 2020, right?
Yeah, that's when I started that book, because we weren't able to do our public classes and public educational events like we do. Yeah. Because we do a lot of those in a year's time. So that basically got shut down. So I thought, well, what do I do here? I need to still keep informing people, because people, the number one comment that we get a lot of times when people come in, especially if they've listened to us on television, if they hear us on the radio on a weekly basis, they always say, look, we love your show, we love your approach because it's so educational. We don't ever feel like we're being sold anything. We don't feel like that you have an agenda. We feel like you're actually talking with us and not talking to us. So I thought, I have to have something to be able to get out to people to help them. So obviously, we were still doing radio and we were still doing television, so I said, okay, I'll write the book. Because if I write the book, at least that way I can give people something that they can take away. So I wrote this book with the intended purpose that it was going to be educational, but the title of it was very, very, well, purposeful, if you will. It's not an accident, because I believe, and I always have, and it's the culture within our office, that you should have a purpose in retirement, but your money has to have a purpose in retirement. Because most people, I mean, Brad, they've worked for 35 or 40 years. They've just been putting money into the 401k every couple of weeks. That's what you do. Just put money into 401k. It's kind of on autopilot. You pick 6 or 7 different mutual funds. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down, sometimes it's sideways. Totally different philosophy when you roll into retirement. So what we wanted to do with this book was to say, look, what you've been doing during retirement is autopilot. But basically, you cannot go into retirement with your money not having a purpose. During your working years, your job was to support your family, make money, contribute to your retirement plan. Now you've retired. Kids are grown. Just you and your wife, or you're single. So now what? Well, now the money's got to have a job. The money needs to have a job. It needs to have a purpose. That's why we talked in other shows about writing this stuff down and having a written plan and having a budget and having a lifestyle outline. It's so important to have that, because how do we know what job to give the money? What's the job of the money? Is the job of the money to provide income? Is the job of the money to grow? Is the job of the money to remain stable so that we can use it as a legacy purpose? What's the job of the money? So my favorite thing that I always say to people is like, look, when you get ready to retire, the money cannot be a 32-year-old son sitting in the basement playing Xbox that you can't get up to go and mow your lawn in the summertime. It's like, if that money doesn't have a job, if it doesn't have a purpose, we got to give it purpose. That's why I named the book what I did.
The book is yours for free. Purpose Determines Placement. Question is, what has your purpose been? What would you like your purpose to be? And are you telling your money what to do, or is it telling you what to do? Do you have a plan? We're talking a little bit about Social Security today, but there's so much more beyond that. It's in the book. Taxes in the book. Making a plan is in the book. Long-term care is in the book. Have you thought about any of these things? Have you talked with somebody who has your best interest in heart, who has your purpose top of mind? Give us a call, 866-203-7486. The book is free. The plan is free to get you started so that your purpose is realized. And your Retirement TV continues after this.
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. After nearly a lifetime on the job, you should be rewarded for all the time you spent working. Whether that's crossing off items on your bucket list, learning a new passion, or rekindling the love of an old one. After all, life isn't over when you stop working. It's the start of an all-new chapter. The one where you're the writer and you get to choose how your story will go. A way to achieve that is by having a clear financial plan to sustain your golden years. The biggest fear most retirees have is if they'll have enough money to maintain the lifestyle they've always enjoyed. Having a plan to help protect you against the curveballs life often throws will help to maintain your lifestyle. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
Thanks for being with us on Your Retirement TV. Sam and Andy are with us. We're talking about Purpose Determines Placement. The book is free. We want you to call and make an appointment to get that book and get some of your questions answered. We're talking a lot of questions about Social Security today, and I mentioned taxes as we went out, and that becomes a question for a lot of folks is, do I have to pay taxes on my Social Security?
That depends.
Okay. Well, fill me in, Andy.
Probably.
The answer is probably, yeah. So if your income is such, there is either 50% that you'll pay or 85% that you'll pay on your Social Security. So it depends on how much income you have coming in.
50% of your Social Security or 85% of
will
your
be
Social
taxed,
Security. Yeah.
And the question becomes, now I've got to figure out what my plan is, which is the whole purpose for getting into the office.
Again, going back to writing it down, because I think that paying taxes on Social Security is probably I would argue that it's probably the number one thing that sticks in people's craw, is that they have to pay taxes on their Social Security, because the feeling is, I already paid taxes on my Social Security. I've been paying taxes on my Social Security forever. And the reply to that is, yes, you have. However, the way the rules are designed, you need to control it, because if you think about it, Brad, you think about income control, you think about the need to have a budget, the need to have a specified retirement income plan. As Andy said, either half of that Social Security is going to get taxed or 85% of it's going to get taxed. Well, if we can keep your income structured to where we're only showing enough countable income to tax 50% of your Social Security, you tell me, what do you want to have taxed? Do you want 50% of your Social Security taxed, or do you want 85% of your Social Security taxed? That in and of itself, personally and professionally to me, is enough of an argument to say, yeah, we probably should write this stuff down. We probably should know exactly where we are, because any dollar that you don't pay to the federal government, whether it be taxes on your Social Security, whether it be ordinary income, whether it be distributions from an IRA, every dollar that you don't pay to the state and federal government, where does it go? Goes right back in your pocket. That's where it goes. Keep it in your pocket.
That's where I'd like it back.
That's where it should be.
We talk about this quite a bit because the numbers scare people to this point of the record inflation, taxes. I can't mortgage a house now. There's no way I can. And a car loan, I hate the situation. So there's nothing that I can refinance. But when you talk about taxes and the Social Security that we're talking about right now, it probably doesn't ring true to people that you should be refinancing your retirement right now, because this is an optimal time. Why would that make sense for somebody to say that at this point, Andy?
Well, I think the part of the equation that you have to take into account is, what is your purpose going into retirement? How are we going to do this? How do we be the most efficient that we can with what we have?
Which starts with a plan.
Which starts with a plan and a budget.
Amazing how it keeps coming back.
It keeps coming back around.
Yeah.
But then I repeat myself.
So I think the caveat is making sure that, how do you make sure that you have what you need? How do you plan for that? And sometimes people feel incredibly overwhelmed by that process. And so that is something that I think we really take.
We don't like the work.
Well,
I'm overwhelmed.
People don't like the uncertainty of it.
Yes.
And I think that's
absolutely.
And that's what we try to stress to people when they come in, and on television and on the radio and in the classes if you come in and see us in that particular venue. What can you control? Control what you can control. Can we control taxes? No, we can't. And you have zero say in it. Nobody's ever going to call you up from Congress and say, yeah, Brad, what do you think about that tax increase? Should we vote on that? You're not going to get that phone call.
But
But you can control the context and the parameters within which you are participating in the tax code. You can control how much income you have coming into the house to determine whether you're getting 50% of your Social Security taxed or 85% of it. You can control whether you are in a 12% tax bracket or in a 22% tax bracket. Control what you can control. And we use the word a lot. We'll say, you need to be working in a known environment. We know what the tax code is right now. We know what the taxation on Social Security is. I get it. You're scared because there's an awful lot of fear stuff going on with Social Security right now, and it's going to run out, and you're not going to get a check, and grandma's going to be eating cat food and laying in the gutter. All of which is nothing more than political BS. It's just a bunch of garbage. However, it scares people. So if you can mentally dismiss that stuff. You can't control it. If you can't control it, quit worrying about it. There's not a thing in the world you can do, but control what you can control and use it to your advantage. The problem we run into is that people get totally and entirely absorbed, and their minds and their thought process gets entirely absorbed with things they can't control. I'm scared of the market. I'm scared of what they're going to do. I'm scared. Like, I get it. So am I. But I can't control that. So why am I burning up a lot of mental energy towards worrying about what I can't control? Because if you just look over here, look at this stuff, we can control all of that. So let these fruitcakes over on this side do whatever they're going to do, and we'll control what we can control over here. We'll, you know, my mom always used to say you need to sweep around your own front porch before you start sweeping around somebody else's. So let's just take care of your front porch for the moment.
Mom was a smart woman. Let's go to with Mom's a spousal question. If I have a spouse, he or she can receive benefits from my record, even if he or she has no individual earnings history. That's true?
That's true.
That's true.
Okay. Is that helpful at this point now in an adjustment?
Absolutely.
Yeah, can be.
Absolutely.
I mean, especially, you know, if you take into account, my mom's a perfect example. She got to be a stay-at-home mom primarily and worked when we went to school just part-time. So she did not have enough earnings records to actually qualify for Social Security. So what happens is when she got to retirement age or Social Security age, my dad, who's a few years older, had started Social Security, so she was able to take a portion. It's not taking away from his dollars and cents, but she was able to qualify through, in that case, an ex-spousal benefit.
Okay. Well, the question is, are you controlling what you can control, or are you kind of letting fear dictate how you're moving forward? Panic is a bad way to go, and a plan helps alleviate the fear and takes the panic out of it. Call now, because the plan is complimentary. We put that out for you. The visit, that's free as well. And the book, Purpose Determines Placement, is free as well. If you come in for a visit, it costs you nothing, but not coming in could cost you so much more. We'd love to help make your retirement a little bit easier, give you purpose to the years that you should be enjoying yourself because of all the work you've put in. So call the number now, 866-203-7486, and Your Retirement TV returns after this.
Good morning, Ben.
Good morning, Ben. Hey, birthday party for Carol and 5. Happy birthday to you.
Good morning, Ben. Happy Monday.
Daryl's birthday, be there every square. Happy birthday to you. You can see from our quarterly report on slide number 62, we're trending in the right direction. All signs point to a very positive outlook for the next several years. If you peel back the onion...
Ben, do you have anything to add?
The work never seems to end until the day it finally does. Call today to get your free written financial plan so you may live every day to the fullest and enjoy the retirement of your dreams.
So glad you're with us on Your Retirement TV. Sam and Andy are with us. Dual Financial Strategies. I'm Brad Johansson. Happy to be with you today. We're talking a lot about Social Security, which involves a lot of other things. We've gone to taxes as well. I ended with a spousal question. I'll start this segment with a spousal question. If I have a spouse, he or she passes away, unfortunately, I'll receive both my full benefit and my deceased spouse full benefit. I already know that's not true.
That's false.
But the question is, do a lot of people know that that's not true? And Andy, probably there's some people who think they get both.
Yes, I think there is some misunderstanding regarding that information.
Fill us in. Enlighten us.
One of the, I'll call it saddest stories I think I've ever seen was a pastor and pastor's wife. They had a $4,000 pension, and it was exclusively in his name, his lifetime. Then they each were getting about $1,000 in Social Security. When he passed away, and that took the pension and one Social Security away. So they literally went from $6,000 in income down to $1,000 in income for her.
She went down to $1,000.
She went to, yeah. And then you think about it, it's not just, okay, now my income is restricted, but my taxes are higher as an individual. And that's something that oftentimes I think gets missed in the planning processes.
But she thought she was going to get both Social Securities.
She did.
Which goes back to what you were saying as we went to break, which was control what you can control. And she says, well, I can't control that. It's because she didn't know that she could control that.
Right. And in this case, it's the husband was making a lot of the decisions unbeknownst to her. That was the saddest part of that whole story, was that all of this was unbeknownst to her. She thought she was fine. She had no idea that when he died that the pension was going to go away. She had no idea that she didn't get to keep both Social Securities. She just, it was just a case of misinformation at some level by somebody. But yeah, it was brutal. It was brutal.
The money that comes out of my paycheck for Social Security goes into a specific account for me, remains there, earns interest until I begin to receive Social Security benefits.
Unfortunately, no. No, it's a pool. Social Security is a pool. That's why they call it the Social Security Fund, Social Security Trust Fund. So basically what happens is everybody that pays money in Social Security just goes into this massive pool. There hasn't been any money in a Social Security pool for you, if you're receiving Social Security. Your money was gone decades ago, because Social Security is supported by people that are paying into the Social Security system now. That's the reason why, Brad, there's the fear of it running out and being able to only do 75% of what the intended benefits were, is because we're getting to a tipping point here to where we have enough people not working that it is becoming a drain on the people that are working. In other words, we got more people pulling into the system than we got people putting into it. So they have to go into this secondary Social Security Trust Fund. Well, that's why they're saying that in these dates, you hear all sorts of different things, but now they're saying probably sometime in the early 2030s, the Social Security Trust Fund is being depleted. That's what they mean, is that there's not enough revenue coming in, because Social Security is a pay-as-you-go system, to support everybody that's retired.
Well, that becomes that question. Under the current law, Social Security benefits could be reduced by 20% or more for everyone by 2035?
Correct, because there is not, at that point in time, the Social Security Trust Fund, the backup fund, if you will, is depleted, and all they have to go on at that point in time is the revenue that's coming in. And much like the way the federal government functions, there's more money going out than there is money coming in, except actually that's not true. There's more money coming in than going out with the federal government, but we won't even go down that road. But that's what's wrong with Social Security.
Attaches to that $33 trillion deficit that we're dealing right now and trying to pay that off.
Yeah.
And everybody, boomers are going, well, I probably should be okay, but we got Generation Xers and those beyond who are going, is there going to be anything for me?
It could be a problem.
Yeah.
It could be a problem. And you will notice that, we're in an election cycle right now. There is not going to be a single leading candidate. I don't care what you believe in. I don't care if you're Democrat. I don't care if you're a socialist, you're a libertarian, you're a Republican. It doesn't matter to me what you follow. However, the undisputed fact is they're mismanaging everything, and you are in grave danger unless politicians will step up to the plate and do the brave thing. Because everybody says, oh, it's an entitlement program. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but the reality is people think that they've put these massive amounts of money in Social Security. If you live an ordinary life expectancy, the money that you take out of Social Security is many, many multiples more than you ever put in. It's not even remotely close. You will take out, in most cases, hundreds of thousands of dollars more will come out of the Social Security fund in your name than what you ever put into it. So the system is being underfunded, the system is being overutilized, and boy, just those two things in and of themselves are leading to a bad combination.
You've shared a quote with me. I want you to prepare for that while, Andy, I ask you. People are saying, okay, I'm on the precipice right now. I'm afraid to come in and do a visit. How hard is it to come in and do a visit and go through all their stuff?
Hard as you want to make it. It's not hard. I pick up the phone, give Rick a call, give Karen a call. Rick is who's in charge of basically setting you up with an appointment. So he's going to ask you a few questions, tell you what you need to bring. He'll send out a introductory packet to us. But essentially, it's going to be an easy conversation to just sit down. If you're in Appleton, come meet the dogs. If you're in Green Bay, no dogs. But from a standpoint,
you want to meet the dogs.
They're pretty great.
Dogs have been on the show before, right?
They have been on the show.
Heck, they have been, yeah.
Yeah, so it is an important thing to sit down and start that process, because oftentimes what we hear is, gosh, I wish I would have known this 10 years ago, 15 years ago. That would have changed my planning for retirement.
Yeah, the what ifs, the panic part.
Yeah.
Share the panic quote that I think comes from Elon Musk, isn't it?
Yeah, it does. So, I mean, love Elon Musk or hate Elon Musk, whatever your things are. But Elon Musk said a while back, he said that many people will panic to find a charger before their cell phone dies, but they won't panic to find a plan before their dream dies. And boy, I'll tell you, Brad, when I read that, it just resonated with me so strongly, because I thought, that's a lot of the people we visit with every day. They allow these ancillary outside events to put them into a blind panic, events that you cannot control. You need to think of your retirement the same way you're thinking about that cell phone charger. It's like, hey, if your cell phone happens to drain down the battery to nothing, guess what? We can recharge it. You can plug it back in and it'll come back to where it was. If you mess up in your retirement, if you mess up that plan, you don't get a second chance. It just does not happen. So make the plan.
Yeah, we want your purpose to be meaningful. It determines placement, and you deserve great placement. We thank you so much for being with us. It's all free. The book is free. The plan is free. The visit is free. 866-203-7486. Until next time, enjoy.